Some days, the mess around me feels like the mess inside me. That's the thought I can't escape as I lower myself into my office chair. The desk in front of me doesn't look like a workspace anymore. It looks like a dumping ground for everything I've put off. Sticky notes cling to the edge of my monitor, some so old the ink has faded. Contracts spill across the surface, stacked in half piles, half chaos. 3 coffee cups sit in different stages of abandonment. One cold, one with a ring of dried cream. One turned slightly sour from yesterday. The stale smell of coffee lingers in the room, heavy, acidic, mixing with the faint dust of unopened envelopes. It's not just a smell. It's a weight, a reminder that what surrounds me reflects what's inside me. I try to push a stack of papers aside just to find a corner of space for my laptop. The sound of shuffling documents feels like an accusation. Every sheet is a task I delayed. Every note is a reminder I ignored. I rub my temples, restless. The overwhelm doesn't come from the size of the tasks, but from the sheer clutter pressing in from all directions. My body reacts before my mind can reason. Shoulders tight, breath shallow, legs jittering against the chair. I tell myself, just start. But where? Which pile matters most? Which note is still relevant? Which cup should I throw away first? The truth is, I don't start. I stall. I stare. I freeze. The mess around me feels like the mess inside me, and instead of moving forward, I stay stuck, circling in the same storm of avoidance. Sometimes I avoid work by drowning in the clutter around me. That confession is harder to admit than missing a deadline, because it's not about capability, it's about choice, or maybe the lack of one. The root cause runs deeper than laziness. Clutter creates decision fatigue. Every paper on the desk demands a choice. Keep, file, act, toss. Every sticky note pulls at my attention, whispering something undone. And instead of choosing, I avoid. I let the clutter grow, and with it, the weight on my chest. There's another layer too. Procrastination. The mess becomes a shield I hide behind. If the desk is too chaotic, then maybe it's not my fault I didn't start the hard work. Maybe I can blame the piles instead of facing the task that scares me most. And yet, avoidance doesn't relieve the pressure. It multiplies it. I hear the mirror questions in my own voice, jagged and sharp. Do you keep pushing tasks aside because the mess feels too big? Yes, every day. Do you freeze instead of starting? Yes, more times than I can count. The desk becomes both the cause and the excuse. I look at it and think, I can't work like this. Then I think, I'll deal with it later. But later never comes. Later stacks higher. Later becomes the reason I miss what matters most. The universal theme is clear: procrastination through clutter. It's not just my struggle, it's what so many of us do, letting physical mess mirror the mental one, believing both are too heavy to touch. But there's a truth I've heard, one I resisted for years because it sounded too neat for the mess of real life. Order outside reflects peace inside. I used to dismiss that as something people with less on their plate could say. But staring at my buried desk, I wonder if the opposite is even truer. Disorder outside amplifies the chaos inside. The symbolic cue couldn't be clearer. This desk, this graveyard of half-finished thoughts, this monument to avoidance. And so I sit here, restless, overwhelmed, trapped not by the size of the work ahead, but by the weight of the clutter that surrounds it. If I don't shift this, I know how it plays out. Another contract lost in the pile, another opportunity missed, another night staring at a mess I swore I'd clean tomorrow. But tomorrow isn't coming. It never does when I keep saying later. And that's the cliff I'm standing on now. It happened on a Tuesday. I was juggling 3 deals at once, all with deadlines circling close. The kind of day where timing matters, where one delay can cost thousands. I told myself I had everything under control. I told myself the piles on my desk were messy, but manageable. Until they weren't. I was on the phone with a client, promising to send their contract by end of day. I reached for the folder, certain it was within arm's reach. My fingers brushed through papers, sticky notes, envelopes. Nothing. I stood up, sifted, shuffled, knocked one pile into another. The sound of papers sliding off the desk filled the room like an avalanche. My heart dropped. The contract wasn't there. It was buried somewhere in the mess, swallowed by the chaos I had ignored for weeks. On the other end of the line, the client waited. My voice tightened. I stalled with words like, "Give me a moment," and "It's just loading." But inside, panic clawed at me. The thought loop roared, "I can't keep up. It's too messy." Over and over, pounding with every heartbeat. My hands dug deeper into the piles, scattering papers onto the floor. Sticky notes detached and floated down like mocking confetti. Each one was a reminder of something I had postponed, something I had promised to handle later. I can't keep up. It's too messy. The overwhelm symbol was right there. Papers sliding off the desk, spilling across the carpet, spreading the chaos from one surface to the whole room. And then I dropped my head onto the desk. Hard. Not out of anger, but out of defeat. The clutter pressed against my forehead, the edge of a coffee cup nudging at my arm, the smell of stale caffeine surrounding me. The collapse gesture wasn't a choice. It was surrender. At that moment, I wasn't a leader. I wasn't a provider. I wasn't even functioning. I was buried by paper, by avoidance, by my own refusal to face what I'd been postponing. And the emotional low cut deep. I realized I wasn't just losing deadlines. I was losing myself to the very clutter I thought I could control. Clearing space clears my mind. The words came back to me like a lifeline. Simple, almost too simple, but undeniable in this moment. I lifted my head slowly. The desk was a battlefield. Papers across the floor, contracts hidden, sticky notes curled and useless. But in the middle of that wreckage, I made a decision. This can't continue. I swept my arm across the desk, not in anger this time, in resolve. I gathered every pile, every half-task, every forgotten note, and moved it aside. The surface cleared, little by little, until only the essentials remained. Laptop, pen, one contract I needed most. The act was physical, but it felt internal. With each paper moved, my chest loosened. With each sticky note tossed, my breath steadied. Small order gives me a big calm. I whispered it as I stacked the files neatly, as I threw away the cups that had been souring in the corners. The smell lifted. The space opened, and with it, so did I. The symbolic moment was right there. A messy desk transformed into a clean space under the light of the window. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't color-coded or magazine-worthy, but it was clear enough for me to breathe. The mantra built itself, layer by layer. First a whisper, then a steady rhythm, then a bold statement filling the room louder than the chaos that had once lived here. The mantra pulsed in my chest, grounding me in a way the piles never had. And as I looked at the clear desk, sunlight spilling across the wood, I felt the shift land fully inside me. Order outside helps me breathe inside. It wasn't just about the desk. It was about me. The clarity I created in front of me mirrored the clarity I felt within me. For the first time in weeks, my mind wasn't bouncing between tasks, stalling in procrastination. It was steady, ready, calm. Inside this space, a new rhythm had taken hold. Quiet, focused, calm. And in that stillness, I found something I hadn't felt in a long time. Momentum. Order outside helps me breathe inside. That truth only mattered once I began living it. Not in big, dramatic ways, but in small, repeatable steps. So I built a ritual. Not a full spring cleaning. Not an all-day decluttering marathon. Those always scared me more than the work itself. Instead, I gave myself something small, simple, doable, 10 minutes a day. Every evening, before shutting down, I clear one surface. Just one. Most days, it's the desk. Other times, it's the dining table or the nightstand by my bed. I pick one space and give it 10 minutes of attention. Not perfection, just enough to shift it from messy to clear. The anchor action is the wiping of the desk, cloth in hand, sweeping away crumbs, dust, the faint coffee rings left from yesterday. That sound of fabric against wood is more than cleaning. It's like exhaling. It tells my body, the weight is leaving. As I clear, I repeat softly, order steadies me. At first, I said it out of habit, just to remind myself to keep going. But over time, I felt the way it settled in me. Each item put in its place softened the chaos in my chest. Each cleared patch of desk made my thoughts less crowded. Order steadies me. The affirmation grounds me more than any productivity hack I've tried. Because it isn't about speed or efficiency, it's about calm. The grounding symbol has become the clean desk itself. A flat surface with nothing piled high, nothing tipping over, nothing accusing me of avoidance. Just space. Space to breathe. Space to think. Space to act. And the reassurance I hold on to is this: small clarity multiplies momentum. Because it's never just about the desk. It's about what comes after. A clear surface makes it easier to open the laptop without dread. Easier to find the contract I need without panic. Easier to begin the task instead of circling in avoidance. Even 10 minutes gives me back hours of focus later. And every time I finish, I feel it. That shift in my chest. From scattered to steady. From stuck to moving. From later to now. Even in this small ritual, I feel the weight shifting. Order doesn't take time away. It gives me clarity back. That's the truth I leave with as I close this week. For years, I told myself clutter didn't matter, that I worked fine in chaos, that the piles were proof of how busy I was. how committed, how essential. But the truth was, the clutter wasn't neutral. It was stealing from me. Stealing time, stealing energy, stealing clarity. Now I see the difference. At work, a clear desk means I don't waste 10 minutes looking for a contract or chasing a sticky note I've long forgotten. It means clients feel my focus, not my franticness. It means deadlines don't slip because I buried them under a coffee cup. At home, it means the table is a place for food and family, not just another dumping ground. It means I can sit with my kids and not feel surrounded by the weight of everything undone. In myself, it means my mind isn't always racing. When I sit down at a clear desk, I feel a calm I didn't know was possible. My breath deepens, my thoughts slow, my shoulders fall. Clarity isn't found in the big leaps. It's built in small resets. That's the mantra I carry now. Clear space, clear mind. The closing symbol is vivid in my mind. The desk finally clean, only a pen and notepad left. Not sterile, not empty, just enough. Enough to remind me that simplicity is strength. And I know what comes next. Because if clutter distracts me, negative self-talk drags me further down. That's the weight I'll face in the next chapter. But for tonight, I rest in this truth. Order doesn't take time away. It gives me clarity back. And I wonder, what's one space you can clear today for calm? Clear space, clear mind.